Hello and welcome back to An Old Man Watches. Today I'm going to be talking about the 1988 science fiction comedy horror film The Faculty. The film is set in Harrington High, which is your typical high school from the movies. Budget cups are perennial and the teachers are, with the exception of a couple of cool professor types, mostly a dysfunctional and disillusioned group have basically had all of the hope beaten out of them. The student body is also a pretty familiar movie melange. The jocks rule the roost, of course, and then you've got your nerds, slackers, rebels, and outcasts. Things are about to change, however, as they do when an insidious alien parasite is taking over everyone in a position of authority. Stumbling across this otherworldly menace come six students, pretty much all of whom are from the outcasts and misfits category, ranging from persecuted newspaper nerd Casey to rebel without a cause Zeke and new student Mary Beth Louise Hutchinson. She's never introduced as just Mary Beth. Even Stan, currently a member of the football team, is heading nerdwards as he contemplates quitting the team to focus on academics. So, this is not exactly a team to inspire much confidence, but they're the only thing standing between humanity and conquest by parasitical alien brain bugs. The original script for this film was written in 1990, but it languished unpurchased until the success of 1996 smash hit Scream led to this film finding a buyer, Miramax Pictures, who wanted some of that sweet comedy horror box office success. Miramax brought in writer Kevin Williamson, who wrote Scream, to rework this screenplay with the brief to make the film more hip. Miramax also offered Williamson the director's chair, but he turned it down to helm a script that he'd fully written himself instead. And so the job went to Robert Rodriguez, fresh off the bounce of Desperado and From Dusk Till Dawn. The resulting film shoot was apparently great fun for the cast, and there was considerable optimism that The Faculty would be a smash hit. However, perhaps because of the decision to release it at Christmas, which is unusual scheduling for a horror movie, the film was ultimately only moderately successful. It did return more than double its budget at the domestic box office, so it probably didn't lose the studio any money, but it certainly wasn't the commercial titan that many expected. The Faculty did, however, go on to become a cult classic, and I think deservedly so. This is a movie that does a lot of things right, so let's talk about some of those things. First off, the cast that Rodriguez and his team assembled is just bonkers. It's clear that someone in this production had a real eye for talent and possibly also some amazing connections or blackmail material, because there is a wealth of on-screen acting talent here. The least recognisable names among the core students are probably Sean Hatosi and Laura Harris, both of whom are nonetheless very likeable in their roles and who have gone on to solid careers, particularly on television. But then we sort of step up a level in fame to the ever-watchable performer and nowadays writer, producer and director Clea Duvall and the charismatic Josh Hartnett. On the top level of commercial success, we then have Jordana Brewster. Perhaps not a huge name, but if I'd played a main role in no less than 5 Fast and Furious movies, I'd be pretty happy with my career. And then last of all, we have some guy called Elijah Wood. I hear he was in some movies about a magic ring that did quite well. So, the ridiculous array of talent isn't just limited to the main cast, however. It extends to the supporting cast as well, where you've got former Terminator Robert Patrick, future Daily Show host Jon Stewart, plus 3-time Oscar nominee Piper Laurie, double Emmy Award winner Beamy Newirth, R&B pop star Usher, as well as Famke Janssen, post James Bond but before X-Men, and frequent Rodriguez collaborator Salma Hayek. There are actually even more names that I could mention, but I think I've made my point here. The cast on this film is amazing. Of course, even the greatest cast can struggle if the story is otherwise a mess, but fortunately, that's not the case here. Kevin Williamson has, of course, delivered the snappy dialogue you expect from the man behind Scream, but he's also delivered a strong script in other ways as well. Though, of course, I can't say for sure how much of those strengths were already in place before his rewrites. I've never seen the original script. So while I can't say who I should be applauding, I can say that I do applaud the way that the script has its protagonist act in ways that feel plausible given the crazy situation in which they find themselves. For instance, they do try to enlist help when they think the benefits outweigh the risks, and those risks are significant given that A, they don't know who is already under alien control, and B, that, let's face it, if you shout my high school is being overtaken by alien brain slugs, the only kind of help you're likely to get is psychiatric. The characters also acknowledge the parallels with popular media, including Invasion of the Body Snatchers itself, though the film does slyly note that its scenario is actually more like that of the Robert Heinlein novel, The Puppet Masters, and they act to protect themselves as best they can given the circumstances. Now, they certainly make mistakes and mess up from time to time. That's inevitable. But they never do it in a way that made me frustrated at how stupid or contrived that failure was. The actions that they take seem reasonable even when they lead to things not going well. And as you might know, if you watched my video on Invasion of the Pod People, that's not always something I can say about a film. Now, while having the characters act in plausible and sympathetic ways is certainly a strength of the movie, and an important one, the script has further strengths that lie a little deeper beneath the surface. You see, one of the recurring themes of body snatcher-style films has been that the alien invaders believe, or at least claim to believe, that they are actually offering humanity an improved existence. Life without pain or hate, for instance, in the justly famous 1978 version of the tale. And the same is the case here. The aliens see, or claim to see, humanity as a lost and lonely species, and they promise a world without anger, without fear, without attitude, where everybody fits in. And thus, I think it's no accident that the 6 students that the script has leading the fight against the invaders are all outsiders to a greater or lesser degree, not a core part of the in-crowd. They're exactly the people who will allegedly benefit the most from the change the aliens are bringing, according to the aliens anyway. So it's the right thematic choice to have those characters be the ones who must choose whether to say, no, the price is too high. For the popular kids, there wouldn't be any conflict there. Of course they don't want to join up. They'll stop being special and privileged and just be the same as everyone else. But for the outcasts, fitting in is probably an alluring offer. And of course, rejecting it also appeals to our sense of self-worth and individual identity. The Faculty is the first time that I've really seen the aliens' promises be so intimately tied to the kind of characters centered in the movie, and I think it's one of the many choices that are smart that the film makes. So yeah, if The Faculty is at all the kind of movie that is in your wheelhouse, check it out. Next time. It's still October, so you're going to get a couple more horror reviews to come this month. But first, let's take a diversion into goofy 1980s apocalyptica with Warriors of the Wasteland, aka the New Barbarians. But that is next time. Until then, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you've seen today's movie, let me know what you thought of it.